You ever trusted someone with your heart? I'm not talking about romance, but in friendship. And they dropped it like it meant nothing. That kind of hurt cuts different because when you finally let someone in after years of learning to protect your peace and they end up playing in your face like folks in the past did, it's re-traumatizing. You can only fake friendship and kindness for so long. Fool me once, shame on you.
We always talk about narcissistic relationships, narcissistic family members. Pay attention to those narcissistic friendships too. See, what people don't understand is when you trauma bond with friends, you give them a blueprint to get over on you. And I'm talking about the wolves in sheep's clothing. You give them a blueprint to do everything wrong because you have told them everything that went wrong in your life.
Welcome back to Voice and Value. And if you're new here, go ahead and get comfy, but I'm going to need y'all to hit that like button before you settle in. You know, there's a kind of hurt that doesn't come from romance or heartbreak. It comes from friendship. Now, I'm not just talking about any friend, but the one who made you believe that you could finally relax. The one you trusted with your private thoughts, your unfiltered moments, and your tears that never made it to social media. But then one day you realized they weren't genuine at all. They were loyal when it benefited them. They were kind when it was convenient for them. They supported you when it made them look supportive. That's a different kind of hurt. And for people who already learned about betrayal at a young age in homes where love was conditional or where you were told to get over it when you were hurting, that kind of hurt reopened something deep inside of you, something that you worked hard to suppress. See, a lot of people don't realize how much childhood pain teaches you about friendship long before you ever even understand what friendship is. When you grow up with trauma, you don't just learn to survive, you learn to perform. You learn to read the room and to sense when someone's energy shifts, to fix it before it turns into rejection. So in adulthood, you tend to overcompensate. You become the dependable one, the listener, the healer, the friend who shows up for everyone, even when no one shows up for you. Because deep down, you're still chasing something that you never fully received. Security. You tell yourself, if I'm loyal, they'll be loyal in return. They'll stay. If I love them the right way, they won't hurt me. If I give my all, they'll give back. But what happens when you finally trust again, and that trust lands in the hands of someone who only wanted the version of you that served them? Oh, they love your light, but they hate your shadow. They praise your strength, but ignore when you're showing vulnerability. They lean on your empathy, but disappear when you need understanding. That's emotional deja vu. It's more than just disappointing. It's the past coming back whispering, see, you still can't trust anyone. And hold up, let me say this. If you're ending up in friendship circles where there is some type of hierarchy and one person gets more loyalty and respect than others, that's not a friendship. It's cultish, and you really set yourself up for failure, sis. Sorry you had to hear that from me. The thing about healing is no one tells you how brave it is to hope again. After everything you've been through and learning the hard way that people don't always mean what they say, you still found the courage to open your heart again. And that's not foolish, that's faithful. Faithful to the idea that real friendship really does exist. faithful to the belief that honesty and loyalty can still coexist. You weren't naive. You were sincere. You weren't weak for trusting again. You were strong for not letting bitterness turn you cold. Healing doesn't mean you'll never be hurt again. It means that when hurt comes, you'll recover differently. You won't internalize it the same way. You'll recognize what's happening and respond with wisdom instead of wounds. Let's be real. Some people don't build friendship. They perform them. They say the right things like, love you, sis, or I got you, you know that. They share your wins on their story. They drop emojis in your comments, but behind closed doors, silence. When your world falls apart, they disappear. When you start shining too bright, they distance themselves. And when you speak truth, they start calling you negative. That's not friendship. Oh no, that's proximity. They want to look close to you, but not actually be close to you. They want the benefits of your loyalty without having to reciprocate it. And if you've been through trauma, you might confuse that kind of performance with love because you've been taught to appreciate the crumbs. But listen, bare minimum is not loyalty. And being around you is not the same thing as being for you. That's a painful truth to learn, but once you do, your peace will never settle for less again. And then there's a whole new kind of friendship now, the online ones. Some of the deepest conversations you've had didn't even happen in person. They happened on the phone, in the DMs, in the comments. I'm talking about late night voice notes and long paragraphs from someone you've never actually sat across from and looked them eyeball to eyeball. And it's wild how someone can feel so close, so familiar, like they get you. And you've never even shared a room or a real glance together. Girlfriends can be in a loud room full of people and only use their eyes to hold a whole conversation. It's a universal language too. You don't get that with online friendships. Online friendships can be beautiful, though. They connect people who might never have crossed paths otherwise. No passport needed. They give you laughter and understanding and comfort, sometimes from people who feel closer than your own family. But they can also get confusing. Because when everything happens through a screen, it's hard to measure what's real and when it's just performance. Is this person showing you who they truly are or who they want you to believe they are? And then when you finally meet up face to face, sometimes it clicks. Sometimes it feels exactly the same, like, wow, this really is my friend. But other times, the chemistry shifts. Because online, you meet words, not the person. In person, you meet energy. And sometimes, that energy doesn't match. It's the pauses, the tone, the small things that don't translate through text messages. And that's when you find out if the connection was genuine or not. Maybe it was just good timing, good conversation, or shared loneliness. Now, that doesn't mean that all online friendships are fake. I'm not saying that. Some can be real enough to last for years. But it does mean that you have to stay grounded. Because behind a keyboard, it's easy to build something that feels mutual, when in reality, only one person is emotionally invested. The other one, they're just being entertained. But let's not forget about Mad Day. Oh, you know what Mad Day is, right? That's the day your so-called friend gets so upset with you and suddenly everything they ever held back comes flying out like the onset of diarrhea. The shade, the secrets, the thing you told them in strict confidence, or so you thought. Now it's all fair game because they're mad. And that's the day the mask slips. Because a person who was ever genuinely your friend doesn't go on for destruction just because they're disappointed. They don't air out your business. They don't question your character or try to humiliate you with the same things they used to praise. Mad Day doesn't create new feelings either. Oh no, it just reveals what they were already thinking the whole time. And that's the part that stings the most. Not just what they said, but realizing they always felt that way. They were waiting for the right moment to let you know. That's why you can't judge friendship by the good days only. Some people love you as long as they feel above you, needed by you, or validated through you. But the minute you set a boundary, or you stop taking the back seat to the queen bee, suddenly it's Mad Day. And the version of you they built in their head, the one who was supposed to stay quiet, stay soft, and stay accessible, that very version threatened them the moment you outgrew it. So when Mad Day comes, don't chase closure. I mean, it ain't coming no way. Don't explain yourself to someone who was just waiting for a reason to turn against you. Let their reaction teach you what their friendship never could. Because Mad Day, it ain't the end. It's the big reveal. It's the universe way of showing you what was hidden in plain sight. And yeah, it hurts. I ain't gonna lie. But once you see a person's truth, you can stop trying to heal from their performance. You can finally accept that peace doesn't always come with an apology. Sometimes it comes with clarity. If you've been hurt by an online friendship, someone who switched up on you after getting what they wanted, or disappearing once you started healing, please don't blame yourself. You believed it because it felt real. And that says more about your sincerity than it does about their inconsistency. Online friendships hit different because they start different. They don't have shared history. There's no childhood or school memories. There's no real roots. Online friendships are built on energy, trust, and vulnerability. And that can be very fragile without a real-world foundation. So protect your peace, even online. Be genuine, but use discernment. It's okay to be kind, and you should be, but be cautious. And remember, even through a screen, your authenticity doesn't need an audience to be real. But what do when you've already healed once and now you gotta heal again? That's the exhaustion most people hope they never have to deal with. Because healing once was hard enough, and now it feels like you're starting over from square zero. But you're not really starting from scratch this time. You wanna know why? Because you're starting from experience. Let me give you just a few steps on how you can accomplish that. Step 1, stop blaming yourself for being open. That openness is your gift. That's what makes you real in a world that chooses to reward pretending. Step number 2, don't overcorrect. After you've been betrayed, it's easy to say, I'll never trust again. But walls don't just keep danger out, they keep love out too. You don't need to become cold. You just need to become discerning. Step number 3, find your safe space. Now, that could be therapy, journaling, a prayer, or just solitude. Healing doesn't have to look loud. Sometimes it is quiet. It's the way you talk to yourself when no one's watching. And last but not least, step 4, redefine friendship. Stop measuring it by how long you've known someone. Measure it by how safe you feel being yourself. By who checks in without needing something. By who listens without waiting to speak. That's where healing lives. In small, genuine gestures that remind you not everyone is out to harm your trust. There is strength in being selective. Trust me, I know. Shielding your emotions doesn't make you guarded. It makes you a wise person who learned a lot from experience. You've learned the cost of emotional exposure, so now you invest where it matters. You can still be kind, but not available to everyone. You can still care, but it doesn't mean you have to carry the weight of their burdens. It's okay to say, I've established some boundaries. It's not a question. It's a whole statement. And it's okay to decide that your peace is worth protecting. People might call you distant or changed, but that's because your access used to be free. And healing will always require you to raise your prices. You don't have to prove your softness to anyone. Your strength and your sensitivity can coexist. That means you can guard your peace and have a gentle heart. That's evolving. To the person listening who's tired of being the strong friend, tired of being the understanding one, tired of being let down by people who said, I got you. I see you. You didn't deserve to be used or dismissed. You simply wanted to believe that this time things will be different. And it will be, because you're learning. You're choosing yourself this time, and that's the beginning of something sacred. One day you'll meet people who love you with no conditions, who see your softness as a gift, not a weakness. Until then, be your own safe space. And if anyone ever makes you feel like you were too much, remind yourself you were just too real for their comfort. Losing you will always be their loss. You're royalty who sits on a single throne, and not everyone deserves a seat beside you.
See, a lot of people don't like to admit it, but some friendships ain't as genuine as you think. Some folks really don't like you the way you think. Some folks really not a friend to you, they're a friend to your favor. When you realize that you do too much or you give too much in certain friendships, you'll realize how drained you really are from your friendships and not the environment that you in. It's your friendships, baby. Your friendships are the ones that's weighing you down, that's putting you in a position where you always feel like you have nothing left because they're sucking you dry, and they're disguising it in ways that you've never seen before because you talk to them too much. When you realize that you talk to your friends too much and you let them in on too much stuff that goes on in your life, you'll realize that that is the reason why you have never noticed any red flags in them, because they disguise the red flags in ways that you've already seen.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.